Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. So please take part in the ambiance. It is October. We're halfway through the month, and why not have a little bit more darker theme video? Um, there is a light in my eye from the camera because I did want you to actually see me, but what I would like to talk about today is light and dark. And I think it's a really great conversation to have, especially now. One of the things that I notice is people really battle, and I talk about this sometimes in videos about light magic, light energy workers. I actually saw something in a completely different space from my own, where someone was saying they basically are a light energy worker, but there's some situations happening in their life that they want to sort of hurry up karma. So there was a couple different themes that they were trying to sort of put into motion and that they were claiming that I'm going to actually spend some time telling you that it's wrong. They're just wrong. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a whole explanation about karma, but just understand that when people talk about karma the way we talk about it in general conversation nowadays in modern times, it has a lot more to do with the universe is going to get you back for whatever you did wrong. I've said it before. Oh, karma, you say when something happens. The reality of it is that's not quite how karma works. If you're curious more about it, look it up. Again, I don't want to make this conversation about karma. It's more because it's a conversation about light and dark. But it doesn't work the way most of us think it does. Let's just start there. And you know what, if I can remember, I'll put some links in the description and take you to some places that gives a better explanation about karma. So we'll leave that there. But it's not in the way that she meant it. Also, the person was asking, this is in a forum, public forum. You had to join the group to see this, but she was also, saying that, she was a light energy worker. So what does that even mean? No, what does that mean to you, the person watching this video? What do you think that means? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. What's a light energy worker? Because the reality of it is, who are you to decide energy is light or dark? Energy is energy. And if you know this, why the F are you still claiming you're working light energy? Because you're so fragile. Your ego is so fragile that you can't admit that energy is just energy, because you don't want people to think you're doing something evil, because you don't want to tell yourself that you're capable of cursing or hexing. What you could say, I'm somebody who practices witchcraft. I could hex you. I could put a curse on you. I could take a lot of fiery, passionate energy to just think about screwing your life up. Death. I could wish death on you. I could make it a mission to do that. I could wake up every day, and every day that I find out you're still alive, do some sort of ritual or spell to ensure that you don't get to live longer, or someone you love. And just wish on it and hope for it and want the universe to do that. Now, what am I getting out of that? Not much. I'm wasting vast resources, energy. Energy is important. I'm wasting a lot of that. For what? For what? To prove a point? To prove that I can because I'm angry? That's a lot of anger and bitterness to be holding on to for that long. Honestly, for any amount of time, that's way too much bitterness. Who wants to do that? Who seriously wants to wake up every day wishing death on someone else when you could be wishing a fulfilled life, forgiveness? You could be wishing, to find forgiveness so you could move on. You could be wishing to find, I don't know, a distraction. Let's say you don't want to forgive. It's that serious. I mean, if you want death, you probably don't want to forgive. So let's say instead you're asking the universe to make you look better. If for the petty reason to just outshine this other person, who you feel needs to die. That's the real. I mean, if you're really gonna if we're going down a revenge world, if we're going down this, revenge would be to live well. The best revenge is to live well. And they suffer, not death, because death could be an escape. I mean, I'm playing into the revenge plot. I think it's ridiculous. And I said ridiculous that people really other witches turn their noses up at people who don't identify as light workers, light energy workers. That's so silly. When if you really are a practitioner, if you're really doing this witchcraft thing, then you know good and well that's not how it works. Energy is energy. It's not dark, it's not light. That's not how it works. It's just energy. How you manipulate it, how you position it, the intention behind it, that's what really matters. So it's more about, what they think other people will think about them, their own personal fears, their ego, to even refer to yourself that way. You're not winning any points in a witchcraft marathon. You're not better than the rest of us or those, which, hear me out because I'm about to go the opposite direction. You're not better than the rest of us. But to those who do say, I practice dark magic, to those who say, I come from a family of witches who always practice dark magic, they revel in that. Or, I think my favorite, I remember seeing, I don't see so much of this now, but at one point there was someone practicing, she's a hoodoo practitioner, or I assume she still is. And she was saying, she could do a spell to abort a baby for you. She can do death spells, and, she's not afraid of the dark arts and all that sort of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, so you could do all these things. You're doing all these things for money? Seriously? So where are you getting the energy from to do all this? So this is my argument now to those who claim to be a dark practitioner. They work with dark energy, not dark energy in the way that people have been talking about, dark matter, not like that, but like dark light versus dark. You know what I mean? Evil versus not evil. So here, or those who say they work, most people who say they work with demons do not say they work with dark magic. I've not met anyone personally, I've not come across anyone who puts those two things together. They just say, no, I work with the demon. They don't typically say, I work with evil. They don't see it that way, so I don't even go there. But those who profess, and I'm picking one person because they're in my mind with the hoodoo. Obviously, you could work other types of magics and still claim the dark arts or evil or whatever. So, as someone who is a for real practitioner, do you understand the amount of energy it takes to create spells? Small charm spells, it could just be a overwhelming desire and you're channeling that. Bigger spells that require, especially where you're working against someone's will, you're trying to get people to do something in your favor. Let's say you want to get approved for a mortgage. There's so many things you got to think about in that process. There's the computer. You got to beat an algorithm because it's not a guy sitting in an office approving your loan. They have a computer system now. Everything's computerized. They have a general system that says yea or nay, and if it's maybe, there's conditions. Like it's not a human element part of it. They have an algorithm that figures all that out. Formulas. They look at everything. And if there's still any question, that's where there's an actual person that comes into play to underwrite, process and then underwrite. But that's a whole other story. So, okay, I know the amount of energy it takes to be cognizant of all that. Better example, healing, something healing. I have something that's not healing inside of my body, let's say a sickness. For people who do the type of work where they do healing, Reiki, and all that sort of stuff, do you know how much energy you have to pull? You need to pull that energy. You're pulling from within. But a lot of us need to kind of pull from nature, from the universe itself, but you need to know how to do that and then know how to direct it and manipulate it. I don't believe you, dark practitioners. dark practitioners. I don't believe you. I don't believe you're doing all these things. I don't believe you have the capacity. I don't believe you. You need more people. I don't believe you. So yes, I took the time out to do this video because I knew the subject matter was going to be a little tart, and I kind of wanted to create an ambiance to distract from the fact that I was going to get real slick when I talk. And the reality of it is, I don't believe that you can abort a baby. I don't believe you can cause death on someone. I understand the amount of energy it takes to do that. And money is a motivator. Don't get me wrong. Money is a motivator. However, if you're doing okay and you got clientele lined up, you gotta, okay, so once they give you the exchange of money happens, you still gotta find the energy to make the spell work. You still have to do something to make the spell work. You have to, energy is behind it, by the way. Yes, intention, but energy. How are you raising enough energy to have 2 clients in, let's say, 1 month who both want their baby daddies dead? How do you have enough energy to work spell in between the other spells that you're doing? How do you have enough energy to abort this baby, to abort that baby, and still kill somebody's baby daddy in between? Oh, and do some prosperity spells. Oh, and this person's mom is dying of cancer and you said that you would heal her or at least ease her transition, assuming you're a real practitioner. How are you doing all this? Where are you getting this energy from? And you're married with kids, or you have children, you have other ties to people who drink. We love the kids, but they drink your energy. Young, old, it don't matter. They, as a parent, typically, usually what happens is they're fine. You're always thinking of the what if when you have kids. You know, it never stops. It is in, it's like it's almost like a curse. But anyway, let me move on from that. Even if you somehow found a way to distract from all of that, to put in the level of energy to do those things even twice a month, I don't believe you. So what I'm really getting at is, for either extreme, they're both full of BS. You got one who's in denial about what energy work even is. You have the other one who's wants to be bad. You know, they want to be seen a certain way. But the reality of it is, you can't possibly be functioning and have what it takes to carry out the things that you claim you're able to do. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying that if you're actually getting people to pay you to do these types of work, how? When? You must be staggering this out, because there is no way. Just as someone who, when I work and I share energy within a coven, and I know you might be thinking, well, that's you. You don't know what they're doing. Well, if I only lived in a world where I only spoke to myself, I'd give you that, but I know there are other witches out there, and that's not quite how it works. The amount of energy it takes to carry out a death spell. Do you know when, well, okay. You know how you can easily, and I say this not like I'm telling you to kill people, but when you're in a panicked, dire situation, when you're in a situation where it's you or them, when you're in a situation it's you or somebody you love, I think that's when you can summon up that energy in that moment. And let's say you do, and you kill or practically kill someone, you get someone to the point of almost to death because you did shift energy in that way. Okay. You want to do that again next week? Let me know how that works out. Okay, so you want to recreate all the emotions, all the energy, you know, the fight or flight, everything that was happening that you channeled into intentionally focus on this person dying, you know, life ending, ceasing to exist on this plane. See if you can somehow manage to do all that again a week or two later. Most of us cannot, because I don't think we're supposed to be meant to work that way. I don't think metaphysically that's good. Also physically on the body, doing magic like that is not beneficial to you physically. After a ritual, sometimes I feel energized, but eventually I kind of come, depending on the ritual, especially if you were raising energy. After a while, I start to come down. Most of us do. If you seriously are into this spell work of any sort, sometimes I feel like I need to come down. I like to have a glass of wine. Honestly, any creative task. I'm into painting recently, and when I do my paintings, part of it is a magical experience. So I do consider that art magic. So when I'm doing that, I do notice I like to, once I clean everything up, it's like I kind of just want to sit down and just relax for a while. I feel like I need to like just let it all come down, because even though I'm not like running a mile or anything, I'm just sitting there, but I'm channeling energy, because it's all about energy. Um, yeah. So for the light worker and the dark, the ones who refer to themselves in either way, don't trust these people. One is delusional and not facing reality of what is. The other one is probably just lying. So, and maybe delusional, I don't know, but just not necessarily lying to whoever, but they're lying to themselves about what they can and can't do effectively. They could go through a spell and do it, but it doesn't mean that it's probably going to work. Um, Not as intended, because the amount of energy you would need to carry those things out, even once a month, would be a lot. You, the witch who was watching this, if I was to tell you, well, I'm going to give you $500 to kill this person, um, I assume you would want to know why. I'm thinking that's part of your practice and your services. So I tell you, this person, is horrible. They abused me, blah, blah, blah. They abuse me, the kids, the whole thing, right? So, I get, because most people, if you're going this money, you're not going to say just because I hate them. I mean, maybe you are, but let's just say your customer, your clientele is like, they have in their minds a legitimate reason for this person to end. Okay. So you clearly have a ritual or spell or working of sorts to carry this out, because you've advertised the service, so you have it. Okay, so you take maybe partial money, because I assume if you're working in the killing business, people probably pay partial. And I'm assuming when the person's actually dead, you get the rest. I'm guessing. Now, I'm assuming you're not actually going out killing people physically, and you're doing this using magic. So I guess that would be the motivator, and you got the energy ramped up enough to carry out the spell to make it happen. But if that customer tells someone this and they're like, they want the same thing, and they come to you, like, do you hold off and wait? I don't know. I'm fascinated with this sort of stuff. It's not just from a place of judgment. It's genuine fascination on how people are just taking people's money, making promises they know they can't keep, which takes me back over to the light worker, by the way. Also taking money, knowing they can't keep it. You're in denial about energy in general, but you're going to heal me, you're making potions, healing potions. You only work with that. You don't work with anything evil. Please stop. First of all, are you accepting money? Because there are some people, not me, some people believe that if you accept money for any services, that exchange, that you're low-key a little evil, like you're taking advantage of people, because you were given these gifts, you should just be helping people. Maybe a donation, but you shouldn't be requiring money for services. Now, I think that's BS, just so we're clear. But there's a lot of people who actually feel that way. How light are you now? Also, why does it feel slightly racist? I don't know what it is. Let me know in the comments what you think. Something about light, dark. I don't know. Something felt, maybe because I'm in this brown skin. I don't know. It just feels a little racist. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just does. It feels a little colorist, racist. There's something else involved with it. I don't know. And on that, I'll sip my wine. Forgive me, I've been so nasally more than usual. Very Jersey today. It's like a sinus thing. But anyway, where am I going with this? If you personally are watching this, right, and you're coming into witchcraft and you're like, well, but I do feel like I'm a light energy worker, that phrasing really resonates with you, I'm going to ask you this question. What's light energy? Is it the physical sun energy? Like, what is it, the sun rays? What are you talking about? Because the sun rays is beautiful and wonderful, but it can also cause skin cancer. It could blind you. So, okay. And I'm just using physical examples. Is light energy the positive, good vibes? Do you realize I can feel very positive, good vibes, high frequency about destroying you? I could feel happy about that. Like, there are people who legitimately get joy from watching other people suffer. But those are great feelings. Those are positive feelings. To them, it's positive. It's just, they're wired a little off there. So it's a little different for them. Hopefully you see my point. So this idea of light energy is just, it's so, I don't know, something about it, it just bugs me and rubs me the wrong way. Once, I know, a couple months ago, someone I'm friends with, they referred to me as such. Well, I know that you're a light worker. They call me a light worker. I've never used that term on myself ever. So it's weird that they referred to me that way. And I remember I was a little taken aback, so I didn't even correct them because they were just still talking. And I was thinking, did I say I was a light? Where'd they get this from? How do they even know this terminology? But in their world, the way they saw it, they were giving me like a compliment, letting me know I'm a good witch. I'm a good witch. No, I'm just a witch. And I say just because don't let the just fool you. I can work in either capacity. I can send my energy. I can raise energy. I have the strength of others to do really positive, wonderful things to benefit us and other people. Um, and I mean, I don't choose to partake because I don't think it's worth the energy, but I can also use that energy in the complete opposite direction. I don't get anything from wanting to hurt people, even people who hurt me. Gratefully, knock on wood, I haven't um, felt that desire in a very long time to want to punish someone, another adult, because he wouldn't do this to a child, another adult walking around here. Even when I hear horrible stories of people murdering and raping and just doing horrible things to children and other people, um, I am not someone who wants to do the work to punish them. I don't think that's my purpose. Honestly, I don't think that's really anyone's purpose. Um, that's just what I believe. I don't think that cosmically, scientifically, biologically, we were created to go around hurting each other. Even though humanity proves differently, I don't think we're hardwired for it. It's definitely environmental, societal, but I don't think we're hardwired biologically to be violent and want to hurt people. I realize there are some weird exceptions, people born with certain disorders. Well, that's just it. Those are just wild exceptions. But for the most part, most of us know I don't believe that. So because I don't really deal with that type of thought, I don't immediately go to wanting to curse someone, their bloodline, and wishing death upon them or wishing, that their life was miserable. Um, at the same time, I also don't have this thing where I feel like I need to constantly put myself in harm's way to save people. I think people watch too many movies or TV when they think of like light workers. That I'm on that spectrum now, where this idea that you need to save people. I see a lot of witches making the mistake of thinking they should be in these insufferable relationships with people who mean them no good because this is their karma. This is a lesson that needs to be learned, and whatever BS they're told, or there's this contract, this life contract or soul contract that an ancestor signed or I signed in a previous life, and I'm doomed to suffer. Again, it is hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that there is a creator who created life individually. I passed the check. I got through my dad's, swimmers, my mom's, like it all came together. This woman who was a teenager that had me, this, young person, they didn't kill me, they didn't, they didn't put me in harm's way. I made it. I survived. right? Against a lot of odds. I survived just for the purpose of, I don't know, living out some life where I'm supposed to be um, undermined, abused mentally, physically. Like, are you serious? And you think that your whole purpose was for that, and that in the next lifetime you're rewarded, or you have to do this several lifetimes? Like, there are people who literally think like that. And you know what? That's a victim mentality. And I do believe people who have bought into that, seriously bought into that, and are living a life with someone who's making their life miserable, or they're making their own life miserable with drug usage and whatever. Because there are people I've lived, come across a lot of different people who have made choices, and they kind of just decide it's supposed to be this way. One, those people, they need help. It's bigger. It's not just about magic. They need psychology. They need someone to help them. They might even need medication to get through that, because you've given into a philosophy, to ideology that is just self-harming. Um, and my heart goes out to people like that. Now, that's the person I want to help heal. Along with you getting professional help, I would love to help people like that and just kind of be your person, and help you get through this phase where you sort of learn to undo that type of thinking. There's a lot of harm, unfortunately, that could come within the spiritual community against people who sit in a position that I sit in, and they sit and they tell you these things, and they may actually believe this, but when you take those ideas and you put them in people in compromised situations to tell someone your soul contract was set up in a way that you're suffering now because of that, to tell someone their twin flame is this abusive, narcissistic a-hole who will harm them, will harm, if they're already mentally harming them, but will eventually physically harm them, because that's inevitable. When you tell that person that's their twin flame in a reading, when you give out information about this, anything where you're linking people together and you're telling people that's the person you're fated to be with, and that type of thinking, or excuse me, speaking, it could get very dangerous. If I were to give a reading, and which I have, to someone, and honestly, there's nothing in those cards telling me that someone is your twin flame, because the thing about reading cards, the thing about tarot or oracle cards in general, typically for me, tarot specifically, is it's what's happening, or what could happen, what may be happening. We have this thing called free will. Once I look into that and I can see possible outcomes, I love to do possible outcomes, not just one. Um, my next thing is, well, how do I get to this outcome? I'm going to do a reading, or that one. I'm going to look further. I'm basically problem solving using tarot cards, as opposed to just getting the card saying, well, I'm fated to be miserable. That's my life. No, no. And you have a choice. Now I'm consulting the cards to figure out, how do I enact those choices? What are the choices? What would be the best options to avoid this conflict, to avoid this issue, as opposed to just giving into it? Um, I think that we need to do better in this witchcraft community, in this spiritual community. I truly do think that we kind of need to work a little bit better at being a little bit smarter. I know there's a lot of people who, they've learned witch lore, they've learned hoodoo practices, they've learned a little bit of Wicca 101, and maybe some other things. But at the end of the day, I do think that common sense matters. I think, yeah, common sense matters. That's worth repeating. I think that along with all this, it's probably great to maybe study some psychology, especially if you're going to be helping people. I think it's good to understand um, how some people work, how they think. If anything, just so you're a better practitioner, especially, I mean, for those who actually work with other people. It's something I'm working on. Before I position myself to be a mentor or a coach to someone, I think it's important for me to have a better grasp of understanding psychology, how the mind works. and then combine that with my knowledge of witchcraft as I continue to learn more, as opposed to, you know, I have a YouTube channel, yes, and I, Leap Takens on Instagram, but instead of putting up social media and be like, oh, I'm a witch now and I offer these services, so come on in, and that's where I think you run into trouble with people. And it doesn't matter who they are, age, hoodoo, Wicca, witchcraft, pagan. It's not about that. It's more about, we have an issue in the witchcraft community where I think we got people out here giving, I don't want to say just wrong information, but we got somebody over here saying they're a light worker, light energy worker. I'm a light worker, who is delusional. You got this one over here who is just taking your money and lying to you. And more importantly, if they do get effective at tapping into enough energy, raising enough energy to carry out the things that they want to carry out for services, you need to be concerned about that practitioner as well. You need to be concerned about this one, because this one can set you up. This one can set you up in a way where they've also taken your money and they've got you now linked in to their energy, light energy work, where you're really doing the lion's share of the actual energy work. That's a whole other thing. I could do that for another topic. But yes, there's a way they're basically siphoning off the energy from their client to carry out work. Because the reality of it is they're not truly tapped in. And the person over here, the dark worker or dark energy worker, this person, again, just physically, metaphysically speaking, it's very difficult to carry out that level of work because the amount of energy needed to do that type of work. You get what I'm saying? To constantly keep hexing and cursing somebody, and it's not, let's say not death, but just repeated customers who constantly want to get back at other people, that takes its toll. I'm just saying. But we need to probably do better in the witchcraft community. For those of us who have a platform like myself, I think we need to call this out, have more conversations about this sort of stuff. I'm not trying to knock anybody and how they get their money. However, there are people who are really desperate. There are people who are really going through things, and they're in a position where, they might not be thinking straight. Common sense is a little tuned out because there's so many other big issues going on in their lives, so many trauma, so many other things going. For the person who does want to hex the person that hurt them, that wants to wish them death, that's not coming from a place of good. That's coming from most likely trauma. There's some issues there, a lot of hurt that's not even probably just about that person. It's probably it goes back to something else. That person's hurting. So I think it's on you, the practitioner. Now, people gonna do what they're gonna do, but I think it's on you as the practitioner who's accepting money for certain services to be able to recognize that and to be able to really help them in a way that best suits them. That's not, those types of services are not going to suit them. And for the light worker, the BS that you're even touting is never going to help them. Let's just be honest. It's not. Your healing potions, your healing candles, that's only with light energy, nothing dark, because the rest of us are out here, cooking up Satan's candles, I don't know. But anyway, the point is, there is nothing. If I can heal you, I can curse you. If I can hex you, I can love you. I can put love on you. I can send love energy to you. I can help you learn to love yourself. You see what I'm saying? They're just two different ends of the spectrum. No one is just sitting. You have the capacity to do either or. If you're saying, well, I understand that, but I choose to just do this type. Why are you going out of your way to identify yourself in either way? That's ridiculous. You're capable of both. Why cut yourself off? I don't know. That's just me. But I'm going to end it here because I will go on an even bigger tangent. But the ambiance made it okay because, I lit some candles and it's spooky season, so I'm allowed. So cheers. Thanks again for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, share, and as always, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.